The summer sun blazes down on Koshien Stadium, and 50,000 voices hold their breath. A fastball rockets toward the plate, then comes the crack. The ball soars high, impossibly high. Tracing an arc that seems to pierce the sky itself. Outfielders chase in vain. It lands deep in the stands, swallowed by a tidal wave of sound. The batter rounds the bases, tears streaming down his face. In the crowd, grandfathers clutch radios, children wave pennants twice their size. Mothers sob as if a family miracle has unfolded. To many it is. For over a century, this annual high school tournament has been more than sport. It has been a ritual of national memory. Shohei Ohtani himself once stood here, a boy among boys, before stepping into global legend. His origin myth, like so many before him, was forged in this dirt. And when the final out comes, when the victors kneel to scoop handfuls of the infield earth into paper bags, it is not mere soil. It is relic, proof they touched eternity. For the young, Koshien is Olympus. For the old, it is time travel. Each swing promises redemption, each inning a prayer. But beneath the glory, whispers stir. Behind the sacred diamond's blinding light, darker truths wait in the shadows. Truths that cut as deep as the joy is high. In the diamond's dust, gods are born. But what if the flame hides thorns that bleed the young? Koshien was born in 1915, a diamond carved out of ambition and pride as Japan sought modern symbols to rival the West. From its first crack of the bat, it was never just a game. It was nation building, a spectacle meant to embody discipline, unity, and spirit. The tournament endured wars and bombings, even serving as a reminder of resilience when ash and rubble swallowed cities. During World War II, games were halted, players drafted, stadium seats silenced. Yet when peace returned, Koshien rose again, more myth than sport. Every summer since, the nation has tuned in, not merely to watch baseball, but to witness the rebirth of collective hope. The dirt, the sweat, the tears, they became sacred currency. Each dive across the infield, each pitch thrown past exhaustion carried the weight of history. Coaches invoked it as battlefield, commentators as destiny. Heroes forged here became cultural legends. In 2025 alone, the highlight reels, 2 no-hitters, a record-breaking attendance, Ohtani returning to throw the ceremonial pitch only deepened the aura. To win at Koshien was to enter eternity. To lose was to carry scars that lasted a lifetime. Every boy who stepped on that field understood. This was more than baseball. It was Japan's dream condensed into 9 innings. But even myths crack. The more golden the glow, the darker the shadows behind it. Glory eternal, yet cracks spiderweb. When the roar fades, does the darkness swallow the stars? Behind the dazzling myth, a harsher truth has long lurked in dugouts and dormitories. Koshien's sacred aura has been shadowed by rituals of discipline, so severe they often crossed into cruelty. The tournament was forged not only in fire, but in fear. The roots stretched deep. Japan's post-war ethos prized stoicism, endurance, and hierarchy, values mirrored on the diamond. Coaches were not merely instructors, but near-military commanders, drilling teenagers with iron-fisted authority. Stories of bruised shoulders and bloodied palms were whispered as badges of honor. To suffer is to grow, the old maxim went, and for decades few dared question it. But the mask cracked. In 2001, a wave of scandals broke headlines. Coaches accused of physical assault, players hospitalized after brutal discipline sessions, cover-ups by schools desperate to preserve their shot at glory. The Federation promised reform, yet whispers never fully ceased. Each new season carried rumors of broken bones hidden behind taped wrists, of tears shed in silence under stadium lights. The mythology that relentless training builds not only champions but men remained seductive. Fans cheered the grit, broadcasters praised indomitable spirit, and families tolerated sacrifice in the hope their sons might one day clutch sacred dirt in trembling hands. Yet beneath the applause, shadows grew longer. The silence of the victims festered. The whispered violence became a scar stitched into the tournament's DNA. And then came 2025, a year when the whispers finally roared, igniting not quiet scandals but a national firestorm. The year 2025 was meant to be another golden chapter in Koshien's mythology. Instead, it became a rupture. The proud baseball powerhouse Koryo High, once hailed for discipline and grit, collapsed under a storm of revelations that left the nation reeling. It began in January. Reports surfaced of a violent assault during a winter training camp. Whispers of rough discipline suddenly had names, injuries, witnesses. By March, the scandal forced transfer transfers, star players quietly leaving, administrators scrambling to contain fallout. Then August arrived, and with it, the unthinkable. Koryo's complete withdrawal from the summer tournament. For the first time in living memory, the Sacred Diamond lost one of its most storied contenders. Not to defeat, but disgrace. The cracks widened online. Social media burned with hashtags, video testimonies, furious parents demanding answers. Anonymous posts painted pictures of systematic bullying. Senpai lording over Kohai, coaches looking away. For every defender claiming tradition, dozens more described terror behind closed doors. Then came the bomb threats. Anonymous callers targeted the school and tournament organizers, forcing police sweeps and heightening a sense that the scandal had spiraled into a national security issue. What had once been Japan's proudest youth stage now looked like a crime scene under floodlights. For Koryo's players, the dream dissolved in headlines. Years of sweat ended not with a final out, but with shame broadcast on every screen. For the nation, the wound was deeper. If even a legendary program was rotted within, what did that say of the institution itself? A team's downfall had become a symbol, not of glory, but of fragility, not of sacred tradition, but of betrayal. A team's dream dies in headlines, but is this the spark that dooms the entire Eternal Flame? While scandal scorches headlines, another quieter crisis eats at Koshien's core. Fewer boys are even stepping onto the field. The numbers tell a stark story. In the last decade, youth baseball participation has fallen nearly 20%. Teams that once had to cut players now struggle just to fill rosters. The decline is sharpest in rural towns, where once empty lots echoed with bats striking balls until dusk. Now those same fields stand silent, grass creeping over baselines. Families have left for the cities, and with them, the pipeline of talent has thinned. In urban centers, the story is different, but no less dire. Competition from other sports and the lure of digital worlds pull children elsewhere. Baseball, once unrivaled, now fights for attention. Parents, too, have changed. The dream of sacrifice for glory feels outdated to many. Instead of endless drills and overnight camps, they seek balance. Academics, music, friendships, mental health. Baseball used to be everything, one Tokyo mother told reporters. Now it's just one option among many. Even those who play often face burnout. Stories abound of boys quitting in junior high, exhausted before they ever smelled Koshien's sacred dirt. Participation is shrinking not because the flame has gone out, but because the dream itself feels too heavy, too costly. For a century, the stadium has echoed with roars that promised eternity. Now, in too many corners of Japan, the echoes are fading, replaced by silence. Fields empty, bats silent. As dreams shrink, can Koshien's fire warm a generation turning away? I still dream of that locker room, one former player whispers, staring at his hands. The fists, the kicks. I thought if I endured it, I'd earn respect. Instead, I only learned fear. Another, now in his 20s, recalls being forced to pitch until his arm went numb. When I begged to stop, my coach said pain builds character. I haven't thrown a ball since these are not isolated confessions. Dozens of alumni have stepped forward, some publicly, many under anonymity, to describe a culture where hierarchy bled into cruelty, where senpai ruled unchecked, and where coaches turned punishment into performance art. Tears and bruises were framed as sacrifice for the glory of Koshien. The Japan High School Baseball Federation has vowed complete eradication of abuse, releasing statements of zero tolerance, promising stricter oversight. But victims hear those words and shake their heads. They've said this before, an ex-coach admits. The dirt is too sacred, the system too proud. Real change comes slow, if it comes at all. The stadium's myth is built on sweat, courage, and tears. But for too many, those tears were wrung from silence. Their dreams did not end with a final swing. They ended in fear, injury, and shame. Pain unspoken, reforms promised. But in the dirt's sacred grip, will change outrun collapse? Even amid scandal and decline, the flame refuses to die. In pockets across Japan, small sparks of renewal glow. Local leagues are reinventing the game, shorter schedules, lighter training, and family-first policies that promise joy before sacrifice. Girls baseball, once sidelined, is quietly booming. Nationwide tournaments now draw rising crowds, and some stars are already eyeing professional paths once thought impossible. Eco-conscious initiatives have even touched Koshien's hallowed grounds, with campaigns to recycle stadium dirt and reduce the tournament's massive energy footprint. Small gestures, but symbolic ones. And then there are the icons. Shohei Ohtani, who once knelt on this very soil as a boy, now serves as living proof that Koshien's fire can launch global legends. His visits, his words, his presence, all kindle hope in young dreamers still daring to chase the impossible. Looking ahead, the 2026 tournament may see new reforms, including the long-debated designated hitter rule, signaling that tradition can bend without breaking. The embers remain, fragile yet glowing. Whether they kindle into flame or vanish in the wind depends not only on the players, but on an entire nation's will to imagine a future beyond the shadows. Embers glow amid ashes. Is renewal real, or just another swing at a fading ghost? The lights of Koshien burn into the night, illuminating dirt worn smooth by a century of dreams. Every grain carries echoes, home runs soaring into history, tears of triumph and despair, bands marching with unshakable pride. But woven into those echoes now are scandals, silences, and shrinking dreams. The flame has endured wars, disasters, and generations of change. Yet in 2025, the question is no longer about who lifts the trophy. It is whether the myth itself can survive. Will this stadium remain Japan's cathedral of youth, or fade into relic, remembered more for ghosts than glory? The dirt still waits to be scooped, the stands still wait to erupt, and young players still dare to believe. But eternity is fragile. Witness the flame's fate. Will you fan it or let it die in the dark?